And good morning, good morning, good morning. Morning to everybody who is paying attention here. I had to clean some things off of my space because it was getting a little cluttered feeling. But we've got the cup of coffee. We are here ready to work hard. And you can't really see it on camera, but it says be kind, because those are the two things that are brokerage is all about: working hard and being kind. And if you are joining me today on YouTube, then do me a favor, click like, subscribe, turn on that notification bell so you don't miss any of our content. And if you are joining me on Facebook, then do me a favor, give me some thumbs up, some heart emojis, whatever it is, leave a comment, but more importantly, share this with everybody. So good morning, Racine. This is Racine Family Mornings. My name is Kimberly Mann, which you probably know because you're on my channel. And we are here every day, Monday through Friday from 8:45 till 9 o'clock to give you some interesting, different thing every day. Today is Wednesday and it is our Stat Snap. So we're taking a look at the stats of the week, and this is what we call our mini market snapshot. Now I'm going to talk about what that means today for a little bit, and then I'm going to give you those stats and we're going to be done, and we will be done and over in less than 15 minutes. That is always my goal. Hopefully we are live properly today. We have had some problems with technology on Facebook this week. YouTube's been working just fine. Facebook, not so much so. But anyway, we are going to give you some stats. Now, let me talk about what the stats are that we go over and how they are relevant or not relevant, because what we do is what we call our mini market snapshot, which means every week we sit down and we look at a number of different metrics. We look at things like how many homes were listed, how many homes sold, how many homes went under offer, how many, we look at how many expired, but we don't put that out on the snapshot because that's not really relevant for you. But it is relevant for us. However, we also, let's see here. We also we look at the interest rates for the week and what it means if you're getting FHA versus a conventional. And we also talk a little bit our standard set of stats. Let me pull it up here so I can read it to you. Is that if you are buying a home in Southeast Wisconsin this week, right? Then what we're looking at is, let's see here, we're going to minimize that, that you have a 700 credit score, which 700 is no longer all that high. It used to be something like, 700, that was hard. It's not that high. However, if you have something under 700, it doesn't mean you can't get a loan. It just means that you're probably going to pay a little bit more, or your interest rate's going to be a little bit higher. But if you have a 700 credit score and a debt to income ratio of 40%, so what that means is that your debt to your income total does not equal more than 40% of your income. So your debt does not equal more than 40% of your income. That is a good DTI, as they say, or debt to income ratio. So those are the stats that we look at, and we talk about, well, what would your down payment look like? What's the average home price this week? And we look at all of those different stats, and then we talk about what does that mean for you. So now that I've explained what Stat Snaps Wednesday is all about, let's get into it and let's talk about this last week's stats. So here we go. So last week in Southeastern Wisconsin, this was as of yesterday. So by the way, if you want to get the stats snaps every week, all you need to do is just shoot me an email, or you can shoot me a text to 262-676-2383 and just have the text say stats, please. Just say stats. 262-676-2383. I'll communicate with you and I'll get you on the list so that you get these yesterday. But you can still join me this morning and be able to hear me actually talk about them rather than just get them in an email. But we send these stats out every Tuesday at noon, and they are based on the day before. They're based on that day, but they're also based on the week before. So we go Monday. So for example, yesterday, 3-4, the stats would have been based on the homes would have been based on the dates of, let's see here, the sales and things like that, would have been Sunday the 23rd through Saturday the 1st. Those would have been the week for the stats. And then the interest rate, however, is pulled that morning on the 4th. And so you get the very freshest interest rate on a Tuesday. So the good news is we have had some really cool stuff happening in stats this last week. So maybe next week I'll have a graphic I apologize. I did not think about maybe pulling up a graphic for this, but this is our first week. So you know what? That's all right. We'll work on having a graphic. So let's talk it through though. So first of all, what you need to know is that the median home price so far in 2025. Oh, how did that get not changed? All right. The median home price in 2025 is $337,792 and 0 cents. So 337,792. So essentially 338 is the average home price. Now, of course, there are homes that are less than that for first-time home buyers, but this takes in the people who are maybe on their third or fourth home and are upgrading to those $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 homes, and it does an average. And this is all for Kenosha and Racine counties combined, because that's how we do our stats. We do both of those counties fully, completely combined. And in the last week, so if this week, if you had, because the median home price is around 338, sorry, I've got a hair that's all of a sudden attached itself to my lips. All right. If you are buying the average home at $338,000 with a 700 credit score and a 40% DTI, as we say, then if you wanted to buy this home with an FHA mortgage, your down payment would be $11,822.72. Your principal and interest could be as low as $2,088. So your principal and interest based on the interest rates. Now, what are those interest rates? Let's take a look at those. So if you're, oh, it's not switching my cameras like I wanted it to. So let me move this to the side. Sorry. Russ is going to be actually fitting up my monitor, my second monitor, so that it's up here so I can keep my stats and stuff up there and away from my camera software, which is good. That's a very, very good thing. All right. So let's see here. So that's not what I wanted. That would be what I wanted. There we go. Center camera. Right on. Okay. So the 30-year fixed mortgage nationally, okay, the national average for a 30-year fix is 6.79. Now, you might go, wait a second, that's a little different probably when you're working out the other. I agree. We first pull from Bankrate, we go to bankrate.com and we pull the national averages for 30 and 15 years. And then we go into Bankrate, and there's a tool in Bankrate where we can actually grab FHA with these parameters, set it all up, and get you whatever the interest rate is locally. Now, local interest rates sometimes differ from national based on what's happening. So national takes, in certain areas, interest rates are going to be higher based on local regulations and taxes and things of that nature. There's a lot of things that go into interest rates. So do not, if you see a nationally published rate, do not think that that means that's the rate you're going to get. It rarely is, which is why I always say work with a local lender. All right, but your average median home, so the 30-year fixed mortgage, but it does affect the local rates as well. So if the local rates, if the national rates go up, then the local rates go up and down as well. So the 30-year fixed is 6.79. Now that's really good because for the last 2 years, we've seen everything is like sevens and up. So the fact that a average person, not somebody who has a lot of money, not somebody who's got a credit score of 750 or 800 or something like that. No, a pretty average person at 700 credit score is going to get around a 6.79 interest rate for a 30-year mortgage. That's awesome. It might be even less too, depending on what types of, depending on your debt to income and things of that nature. Because I know a lot of people have been trying to get rid of debt because they've seen themselves get into debt in the last couple of years because of COVID, and they're now clawing themselves out of that and taking austerity, what we call austerity measures, to try and cut their expenses. So the national average for a 15-year, which I know a lot of young people really like doing a 15-year because they don't have a lot of other responsibilities and they figure they can pay their mortgage off a lot faster, and they're correct. So the other nice thing about a 15-year is you get a lower rate. So the 15-year fixed mortgage is 6.11. Now, obviously, your actual payment goes up when you do a 15-year. So what we're looking at, though, is on our numbers for what you would pay, what your down payment and your average payment would be for this type of home. What you're looking at is you are looking at what you're looking at is if you wanted to buy this home with an FHA mortgage, these are 30-year mortgages, what we're talking about. So if you wanted to buy a $338,000 home with a 700 credit score and under 40% debt to income ratio on FHA, you'd have a down payment of around $12,000, just under $12,000, $11,822.72. And your principal and interest could be as low as less than $2,100. That's actually not bad for a $340,000 home, just about, if we're rounding numbers. To be at $2,100 for a 340, cut that in half to 180, which is what, right around 200 is where first-time home buyers usually land. 2 to 250 is that range for first-time home buyers. Cut that down to that price point, you're talking like closer to 1,500. So that is really, really great. So if you wanted to buy this home with a 20% down conventional, now let's say you want to do a conventional and you want to do 20% down, well, then what you would need to save for that same home would be $67,558.40. Well, now, that might not be so bad, because if you actually already own a home and you're wanting to move up homes, you might have that equity in your house. So that might not be a problem for you. But if you don't already own a house, almost $70,000 is a lot. And in fact, you're likely to have less than 40% debt to income if you're able to save $70,000 yourself. You probably have a very low, and you might get an even lower rate if you're able to save that much. But if you own a home and you're using the equity in your home to upgrade to that $338,000 average price, which is what usually an upgrading family goes to, your payment could be as low as $1,583. That's not bad. Plus, the other great thing about your $1,583 is that you are unlikely, and that's principal and interest only, of course, that doesn't count taxes or insurance or any of that. But that $1,583 means you probably don't have PMI either, because you're at 20%. Because you're putting 20% down, you don't have PMI. So that's really, really good. Okay, let's look at how many homes were listed. We got less than 3 minutes left. So last week, there were 60 homes listed. Last week, 58 of them, or 58 homes, went under contract. And only 41 homes actually sold. Now, 41 homes that sold are obviously things that went under contract previously. But the average, here's the great thing about last week for you. Right now, we are seeing, even though the average for the year is $338, the average sold price last week was actually $284,000. So that means that we're looking at a lot more homes are selling in the 2 to 250 range than are selling above the 400 range. So there's a lot more average homes, which is great news for first-time home buyers, because if the average sold price for last week was $284, that means first-time home buyers are starting to come into the market. And if you have a home that was your first home you bought and you're ready to upgrade, this is the time to list. That's what that means. When the average sold price is low, it doesn't mean that the sold prices are dropping. What it actually means is that there are more first-time home buyers buying right now than those who are upgrading. So what you want to look at is, if the average is that, then that means if you bought your first home and you've been in it for 5 or 10 years, you haven't refinanced, unless of course you refinance just to lower your interest rate, but you haven't refinanced to pull cash out. If you've owned it for 5 years and you haven't pulled any cash out in 5 years, you've got the cash to upgrade. There is no doubt in my mind. In fact, you may be able to upgrade to the next home before you sell your first home. If you've been in that home for 10 years and have only refinanced in order to drop your interest rate, you've got equity in your home. If you have not pulled cash out of your home in 5 to 10 years, you've got it. Trust me on this. Give me a call on this. But that is what that means to you, because the rates are dropping. So more new buyers, more first-time buyers are jumping in. It also means that if you need to move up to a new home, it means your interest rates aren't going to be that, ridiculous, not ridiculous, but over 7% interest rate that you will not have to deal with. So there it is, our stat snap. We did a little bit longer today than I would normally want to do on a Wednesday, but that is because we had to explain what the stat snap format is so that you know for next Wednesday. That's it. That's our 15 minutes. We are done. I'm out of here. Have a great rest of your day.